I'm literally just a girl. Like some of
Oh,
these
shut the up. I will burn this table. I'm literally just a girl. Shut the up. What is literally just a girl? What, are you trying to tell me that women are like or something?
No.
That's not how it works. You think because why, you think you're stupid?
Sometimes, yeah.
But because you're a what are you talking about? I'm just a girl.
I'm just
Shut the up. Act like an adult. You're just an adult. You're just a parent.
I don't want to be an adult though.
All right. Clearly not.
Oh, sorry for laughing so much, but this guy's clips, they crack me up. He does financial auditing on TikTok, and he gets like brain aneurysms just seeing how stupid people are. And his interactions with women in particular are fascinating because they'll go on his show and they'll be like, I have no idea why I'm in debt. And he goes through their spending habits and finds out they're eating like Uber Eats twice a day, spending all this money on ridiculous stuff, and it just makes his brain explode. And when you watch his videos, you get the feeling that women feel personally victimized by the fact that money is not infinite. Like budgeting and cutting back on spending feels like a personal offense, as though reality is being mean to them.
I don't want to cancel it.
I know you don't want to, but we need to.
Thank
like
you.
we need.
I don't want this to be
do
2v1. I feel bad for paying for our kids' college. Where are we?
We put.
Do you want to?
Yes.
Okay, where are we then?
I mean, we started their 25-29 plans.
How much?
But
is
we
in
only put $25 a month.
Okay, that's a joke. So we care about this vacation more than our kids' college. You do. Your actions are saying you do. Okay. You want to tell them that at 18? I cared about a vacation when you were 3 and 5 at that time. More than your college.
I don't want to have to tell them that.
Well, that's what you're going to have to tell them because it's going to be your fault.
As a man watching this guy's videos, when I see the women talk about their budgeting and finances, their choices, their behavior, it makes no sense to me. I can't relate to it at all because my masculine instinct tells me to face things head on, to know what the facts are. Like I have a chronic need to understand what is the reality of the situation. But a lot of women don't think like that. And if that surprises you, then you're probably underestimating the amount of pleasure that women can derive from a completely false understanding of reality. Women do have the capacity to be incredibly happy while living inside a delusional fantasy. I couldn't do it, but women seem to be able to. And yeah, sure, the day might come sometime in the future where you have to look into your children's eyes and say, yeah, there's no money for college. But we don't need to deal with that right now. We can just pretend like money is infinite. We can spend, we can travel, we can enjoy ourselves. I don't want to know the reality. I want to live inside my bubble. I'm going to call this particular delusion the infinity complex, where women live in denial of the fact that everything is finite. Everything is limited, everything runs out. But women don't like that. It's not a good vibe, it's a bummer. So instead, they craft for themselves this delusional bubble where everything is infinite. But you know something that does seem infinite is the number of scammers out there trying to steal your information. You guys remember 2 years ago when my channel got hacked and I completely lost access to all of my videos? That was one of the most terrifying experiences of my internet life. And back then, I wish I would have had the protection of Aura, the sponsor of today's video. The scammers got me because they had my private information. It's frightening to think about how much data exists out there about my personal identity that's being sold and traded by internet criminals. That's what makes features like Aura's data broker opt-out so useful, because Aura will remove your personal information from data brokers and people's search sites. That way, they can no longer sell your private information to scammers and identity thieves. But that's not all that Aura does. It also provides identity theft protection and insurance, a VPN with military-grade encryption, antivirus, a password manager, all with 24/7 US-based customer support. That way, you have access to round-the-clock help from fraud specialists. All of that in one app at an affordable price. Click on my link, explore all of the features, and be amazed at how good of a deal this is. And most incredible of all, if you go to aura.com/Alexander Alexander Grace, you can sign up for a 2-week free trial. And that is enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable to data breaches. Go to my sponsor, aura.com/Alexander Grace to start your free 14-day trial. Okay, back to the infinity complex, because it's fascinating how many different areas of a woman's life this seems to apply to. Take looks, for example, because there's a fascinating state of denial for many women that they're going to age, that their looks are going to diminish. For women who are in their early 20s, they're at the peak of male attention. But in this culture, instead of realizing that her time at the top is very, very small, that her window is rapidly closing and she needs to sort herself out quickly, instead, many women indulge their infinity complex and make believe that they're going to be forever beautiful and that their looks are never going to fade.
You will age, everyone, all girls in your 20s, you will age. I know you think you won't. I used to be like you. You'd look at women like me or older and you just kind of go like, that's so sad what's happening to her neck. Like, that's such a bummer. That's not gonna happen to me. Like, I don't know. I just don't wanna age. I just don't feel like it. I know my mom and grandmother did, but like, our generation's different. Like, I wanna travel, you know? It's like, what?
Now, you might think that this is harmless. What's the danger if hot women think that their looks are going to last forever? What's the problem? Just leave them to their delusion. This false belief, this delusion, is directly impacting the decisions that women are making in their 20s. If these women faced reality, they knew that their looks were going to fade, that male attention was not going to last, they would prioritize their best years when they're at their peak attractiveness to finding a good man, somebody to settle down with for lifelong monogamy, children. Of course, because logic dictates that her ability to find a high-quality man, the sort of man who's going to make her happy in the long term, is going to be highest when she's at her most attractive. And it's also going to influence what sort of a man she's looking for. Because if you're dating and looking to settle down, then you're going to prioritize masculine qualities like loyalty, kindness, stability. But instead, a woman who's lost in her infinity complex and thinks that her looks are going to last forever, she's going to be chasing a very different set of priorities. She's going to be partying, she's going to be drinking, she's going to be sleeping around. She's going to be snorting that male attention like it's a highly addictive drug. And by the time that reality sets in and she realizes that her looks have faded, that the male attention has dried up, well then suddenly she's ready to settle down, but whoops, nobody wants her. The quality of man that she's interested in is no longer entertaining her. They're all looking at the new crop of young women coming through. And so she gets bitter and jaded because all these men are holding it against her, all that past promiscuity. She's thinking, this is so unfair. I used to have the very best guys chasing after me. Why isn't that the case anymore? Sorry, this is your own fault. You were delusional. You were inside your infinity complex. I understand that it's painful to hear, but in many cases, you have simply missed your chance.
All the girls that are being 20 right now in absolute in the club, whatever not, in 10 years are going to be 30, trying to settle down and realize that all the good guys are taken. They're going to complain that they were ran through their whole life, but while they were partying for the past 10 years, all the good girls got cuffed by the good guys. And so now when they look at all the men that are options, they're going to be competing with the now 20-year-old good girls and be stuck. Why? Because all the good guys are gone. You missed your chance being a fucking whole bitch.
I'm looking at my notes here and I actually had more stuff to say on this, but I don't even think I'm going to. Mic drop, that woman, she summed it up. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else that is finite, which is a woman's purity, her sweetness, her femininity, her kindness, her trust in men. One of the reasons why men prefer younger women, aside from attractiveness and fertility cues, is because young women are still so beautifully pure and innocent. That kind of femininity is just intoxicating. Some sweet girl at 20 years old who's still wide-eyed and optimistic about the world. She's kind and trusting to people. That is just one of the most beautiful things on this planet. Men worship that kind of femininity. They go to war to protect it. But if you take that pure 20-year-old girl and you add 10 years of bad boy jerks, sleeping with her, treating her like shit, using her for sex, breaking her heart, at 30 years old, when the bitterness and regret has overtaken her, she's going to look back at her 20-year-old self and not even recognize her. her. Femininity is finite. I wish that women understood this. If you, as a woman, make bad choices, your purity, your femininity will run out. The best way to maintain your purity and your femininity is to get into a relationship with a masculine man. When a good girl marries a good man and they have a healthy relationship dynamic, that purity is maintained. She might get wiser, but she's still sweet, she's still feminine. But as a basic rule, every single year that she spends in the dating market, things just get worse. Women need to take this seriously. They need to be proactive at protecting their own innocence. If you make stupid choices with the men that you date, it's going to color the kind of woman that you become, the sort of worldview that you have.
I was dating this guy for a while. He was an athlete. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And I ended up finding out years into hooking up with him, dating him. I was like, he never wants to bring me around his family. He never wants to do the college. I ended up finding out I was a side piece, and he actually had a serious girlfriend the whole time. That shaped my worldview on men, really, had such a profound influence on me where I became super depressed, quit law school, moved across the country, got my master's in teaching, totally took a 180 in my whole life. And then I ended up marrying somebody where I was like, okay, you can have extramarital affairs, basically giving him those hall passes because I didn't believe that it was possible for men to change. And you want to know the kind of men I'm attracting now? Married people who are like, hey, you want to date? I'm like, you have a wife.
Let me address everybody now, men and women, and tell you something that you have to understand about human psychology. Hope is fragile. Trust in humanity can be easily broken. It is hard to be optimistic and hopeful for the future. And it is easy to be depressed and cynical and to trust no one. So if you date someone who is toxic, manipulative, a cheater, a liar, somebody who takes you for granted, then you are allowing a precious internal resource of yours to be eroded, and that is hope. If you mess around with a low-quality woman, you ignore her toxic personality because she's fun or she's hot or you're codependent, you're desperate, whatever, understand that if she breaks your heart, then she has done permanent damage. Your capacity to trust again, to hope, has been diminished. I believe that you only have a finite number of heartbreaks in you before you just bottom out and become a misanthrope. Now, if you're smart, from the first heartbreak, hopefully you'll learn your lesson. You'll choose a better person next time. Even if they're a bit more plain looking, perhaps a little bit more dull and boring, if they're basically kind to you, you think, okay, this is a good trade-off. Someone who is drama-free and nice to me, that's now my top priority. But what's going to happen if you don't change priorities and you date the same type of woman again and again? And then at some point, you may break your heart so badly that you lose your capacity to ever recover. This is massively exacerbated if you get married and go through a nasty divorce with huge financial implications. Again, 10x if you have child custody issues. If you speak to a lot of the guys who are cautionary tales in their old age, they're alone, they're single, they're bitter about it, you'll probably hear a story back in their youth where they trusted the wrong woman or wrong women and they got their hearts broken. I'm telling you, hope and trust are finite and they're very fragile. Do not fuck around with this. You need to take this seriously. Whether you're a woman and you don't want to end up some miserable childless cat lady, or you're a man and you don't want to be sitting there at 60 years old paying a hooker to listen to you cry about how lonely you are. If you want to prevent your life from becoming a cautionary tale, you need to keep your hope alive. Trust and optimism are finite. They are precious resources that you cannot afford to waste and squander. This is why I spend so much time in my videos talking about low quality women, explaining how to spot red flags, toxic personality traits, encouraging men to raise their standards, to not tolerate female to male sexism. On the surface level, it might look quite doom and gloom, like on my channel I'm trying to take away hope, but that's not it. It's actually the opposite. I'm desperately trying to keep hope alive. I want men to find women that they can partner up with, women who will treat them nicely, who will make them happy, quality women with good values. But I know that the stakes are high. I know how fragile hope is. And I know that if men are not adequately scared of low quality women and aware of just how much damage they can do, if men are not properly educated about how toxic femininity works, then they're going to commit to the wrong woman, they're going to get their heart broken, then suddenly their trust is shattered and their hope is extinguished. And that's hard to recover from. Like I said before, I believe that everyone has a finite number of heartbreaks in them. My hope is that my videos, my channel, will help you prevent against wasting one of those heartbreaks on some toxic low quality woman. Better to learn the tough lessons here on the internet with my videos in theory than learn them out in the real world where the consequences are so real. The stakes are high, and yes, I'm willing to scare you a little bit because from where I'm sitting, you should be scared. You don't want to lose your capacity to hope, to trust. just because you committed to some trashy woman who wasn't good enough for you. The prospect of losing your hope, of wasting your life on the wrong woman, that should scare you. But of course, avoiding the wrong women is just one half of the equation. Where do we go to find the good women? The short answer is social circle. But this is a topic that I haven't covered in a little while, and so you guys who are new to the channel, you might not have seen me talk about this, so it's time for a refresher. For the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about my specific social circle strategies and explain why this is the best guarantee that you're going to have to finding a quality woman, far exceeding all the other strategies for dating. As far as I know, this perspective of mine is unique. It's not the sort of advice you hear from dating channels, but I think I'm 100% correct. I think following my advice in this regard is your best guaranteed chance of meeting a quality woman. So if you'd like to continue watching this video, then come on over to Patreon. That's where this video continues. What I post here on YouTube, these are always just the shortened, abridged versions of my videos. The full-length versions are available on Patreon.